Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm your host, Mark, and I'm so glad you're here with us today.
And I'm Jessica, your co-host. We're excited to share another episode with you. Whether you're walking, driving, or maybe studying English with a cup of coffee, thanks for choosing to spend this time with us.
Absolutely. Today's topic is one that's close to our hearts. Improve every day. We're going to talk about how you can make small, simple changes that add up to big results over time.
And don't worry, this isn't about being perfect or making huge changes overnight. It's about consistency, habits, and mindset. By the end of today's episode, you'll have practical steps you can use right away to start improving every single day.
Before we jump in, just a quick reminder. If you enjoy our podcast, please make sure to subscribe and leave us a review. It really helps more people find us, and it keeps us motivated to bring you more useful content.
You can also follow along with our episodes in the playlist, English Learning Podcast, so you'll never miss out.
All right, let's dive in why improvement matters and how you can make it part of your everyday life. So, Jessica, let's start with a big question. Why does improvement even matter? I mean, a lot of people feel like I'm fine as I am. Why should I keep pushing myself?
That's such a good question. I think the answer is growth. As human beings, we're wired to grow and learn. If we stay in the same place for too long, we often feel stuck, bored, or even unhappy. Improvement gives us direction and purpose.
Exactly. And I've noticed that when people feel stuck, it's usually because they're comparing themselves to others. They see someone more successful, and they feel behind. But the real competition isn't with other people. It's with who you were yesterday.
Yes, that's the heart of it, a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. In a fixed mindset, people believe, this is who I am, I can't change. But with a growth mindset, you realize, I can learn, I can adapt, I can improve. That small shift changes everything.
An improvement doesn't need to be huge. Sometimes we think, I need to change my whole life right now. But actually, tiny improvements can create amazing results over time.
Right. I remember when I first started learning Spanish. At the beginning, it felt impossible, but I set a goal to just learn 5 new words every day. 5 words didn't feel like much, but after a year, that's over 1,800 words. Suddenly, I could have conversations.
That's a perfect example. For me, I remember wanting to get healthier. Instead of going to the gym for 2 hours every day, which I knew I couldn't keep up, I started with a 10-minute walk every morning. That one small change gave me more energy and built momentum for bigger steps later.
And that's why improvement matters. It builds confidence. Each small step proves to you, I can do this. And when you trust yourself, you're more willing to take on bigger challenges.
So the key takeaway for everyone listening, improvement isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming the best version of yourself, one small step at a time.
Exactly. And when you think about it, even a 1% improvement every day adds up to huge changes over a year.
I love that. Okay, so now that we've talked about why improvement matters, let's get into how it actually works in practice. Specifically, the power of small steps. So, Jessica, you mentioned the 1% idea just now, and I think this is a good place to dive deeper. Why are small steps so powerful?
Because small steps are manageable. Big goals can feel overwhelming. If someone says, I want to learn English fluently in 6 months, that sounds huge. But if they say, I'll practice for 10 minutes today, suddenly it feels possible.
That makes so much sense. And honestly, small steps are what create momentum. You start tiny, and then you realize, hey, I can do this. That builds confidence, and confidence builds consistency.
Exactly. Think about language learning. If you learn just one new word each day, that's 365 words in a year, and 365 words are enough to understand a lot of daily conversations.
And the funny thing is, once you start, small steps often grow naturally. Like when I began journaling, my plan was to write one sentence per day. Some days, I just write that one line, but on other days, I ended up writing a whole page. The small step opened the door.
I love that example. And I think it's important to say, even if you only do the small step, that's still success. People often wait until they have time, energy, or the perfect plan. But improvement doesn't come from waiting. It comes from doing something small today.
That's such a great point. Waiting for perfect conditions is like waiting for the stars to align. It almost never happens. But if you do one small thing every day, you're already moving forward while others are still waiting.
And you know what else? Small steps are easier to celebrate. You can actually see your progress and feel good about it. When you celebrate those tiny wins, it keeps you motivated.
Yes, and for everyone listening, here's a little challenge. Before the day ends, pick one small thing you can do to improve. Maybe it's reading one page in English. Maybe it's drinking one extra glass of water. Or maybe it's writing down one thing you're grateful for.
That's a great challenge. Don't overthink it, just choose one small step and do it today. Tomorrow, pick another one. Over time, these little steps will completely change your life.
Beautifully said. Okay, so we've seen how powerful small steps can be. Next, let's talk about something that really supports daily improvement habits and routines. So, Jessica, we've talked about small steps, but small steps work best when they're repeated. And that's where habits and routines come in, right?
Exactly. Habits are like the engine of improvement. If you do something once, it helps a little. But if you do it every day, it becomes automatic, and that's where the real growth happens.
Right. For me, one of the best things I ever did was build a simple morning routine. I start the day with stretching, a glass of water, and 5 minutes of reading. It's nothing complicated, but it sets the tone for the whole day.
I love that. And here's the thing, routines reduce decision making. Instead of asking yourself, should I study English today? Or should I exercise? If it's part of your routine, you don't have to think. You just do it.
That's so true. And a lot of people think they need motivation every day. But motivation is like the weather. It changes. Habits are like the climate, steady and predictable.
Exactly. And there's a trick I like to use called habit stacking. The idea is to attach a new habit to an old one. For example, if you already brush your teeth every morning, add a new habit right after, like practicing English vocabulary for 2 minutes.
That's clever. I actually did something similar when I wanted to drink more water. Every time I made coffee, I made sure to drink a glass of water first. Over time, I didn't even have to think about it, just became automatic.
And the important part is to start small. Don't try to build 10 new habits at once. Focus on one or two, keep them simple, and make them part of your daily routine.
I think that's key. Keep it simple. A lot of people set up routines that are so complicated they can't keep up with them. And then they feel guilty and give up.
Yes, exactly. Improvement should feel doable, not overwhelming. A small routine you can stick to is always better than a big plan you abandon.
So if we could give our listeners one takeaway here, it's this. Build routines around small, repeatable actions. Don't wait for motivation, rely on structure.
Well said. And once those routines are in place, improvement becomes natural. You don't even have to think about it. It just happens as part of your day.
Beautiful. All right. So we've talked about habits and routines. But what happens when life gets in the way? When you lose motivation or miss a few days? That's what we'll cover next. Overcoming challenges and staying consistent. So Jessica, we've covered the importance of habits and routines. But here's the reality. Life happens. People get busy, tired, or maybe they just lose motivation. What do we do when that happens?
I'm glad you asked, because this is something everyone goes through. First of all, it's normal. Nobody is consistent 100% of the time. The mistake is thinking that one bad day means you failed. In reality, missing a day is just part of the process.
That's a huge point. I remember when I was trying to build an exercise habit. If I missed a day, I used to feel guilty, and then I'd think, well, I've ruined it. I might as well stop. But later, I learned it's not about being perfect. It's about bouncing back quickly.
Yes, there's a saying I love, never miss twice. If you miss one day, that's okay. Just make sure you show up the next day. Consistency is built on recovering quickly, not on being flawless.
That's really encouraging. And I think accountability also helps. For example, when I was learning French, I had a study partner. Knowing someone was counting on me made me show up, even when I didn't feel like it.
Definitely. Accountability can take many forms: a friend, a coach, a study group, or even an app that tracks your progress. Just having something outside yourself can make you more consistent.
And I'd also say journaling or tracking habits works. When I write down my progress, even small wins, it keeps me motivated. It's like proof that I'm moving forward, even if I don't feel it in the moment.
Yes, and here's another tip: lower the barrier. If you don't feel like doing the full routine, just do a small version. Don't want to read for 30 minutes? Read one page. Don't want to run for 20 minutes? Walk for 5. Doing something, even tiny, keeps the chain alive.
I love that, because once you start, even small, you often end up doing more than you expected. But even if you don't, you've still kept the habit alive.
Exactly. So to everyone listening, don't aim for perfection. Aim for progress. Consistency is about showing up more often than not and forgiving yourself when you slip.
That's a powerful message. So, we've talked about setbacks, accountability, and how to stay on track. Now let's bring it to life with some real-world inspiration stories of people who've improved day by day. All right, Jessica, I think this is the perfect moment to share some real-life stories. Because it's one thing to talk about improvement, but it's another to see how it works in real people's lives.
Yes, one story I love is about James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits. He talks about how the British cycling team went from being one of the worst in the world to winning the Tour de France. How? By focusing on tiny improvements just 1% better in different areas like nutrition, sleep, and even the design of their bikes. Those small gains added up to world-class success.
I remember that story. And it's amazing because it shows you don't need one giant breakthrough. You need lots of small, steady steps in the right direction.
Exactly. And you don't have to be an athlete or a famous person to apply this. I'll share something personal. When I started meditating, I couldn't sit still for even 2 minutes, but I committed to just 60 seconds a day. Over time, that grew to 5 minutes, then 10, and now it's a daily practice that really helps me stay calm and focused.
That's inspiring. For me, I think about when I was learning guitar. At first, I could barely change chords without stopping, but I practiced just 10 minutes every day. After a few months, I was playing songs. Looking back, it wasn't any one practice session that made the difference. It was the daily rhythm of showing up.
And that's the lesson. Improvement is not dramatic at first. It's quiet, it's invisible, but over time it becomes powerful and visible to everyone around you.
Beautifully said. So if you're listening, remember, greatness isn't built overnight. It's built in small, daily acts, and you have the power to start right now.
Yes, and that's the perfect lead-in to our next section, how you can take action today with a simple plan.
Okay, so we've covered a lot today, from why improvement matters to small steps, routines, and even how to stay consistent. But Jessica, I think the most important part is this. How can our listeners take action today?
Absolutely. And here's the good news. It doesn't have to be complicated. Start with one tiny improvement. Think of one area of your life, maybe learning English, maybe health, maybe even your morning routine, and ask yourself, what's one small step I can take today?
I love that. For example, if you're learning English, maybe your one step is writing down 3 new words today. If you're focusing on health, maybe it's adding 1 glass of water. Small, specific, and doable.
Yes, and here's a little challenge for our listeners. Before you go to bed tonight, write down just one small improvement you'll make tomorrow. Keep it simple. Then, when tomorrow comes, do it. And repeat. That's how momentum builds.
That's perfect. Improvement doesn't live in theory, it lives in action. And action starts small.
Exactly. And the best part? You don't have to wait for next week or next year. You can begin right now.
Beautiful. And with that, let's wrap things up with some final thoughts. Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode. We hope you found these ideas helpful and inspiring. Remember, improvement doesn't have to be dramatic. It just has to be daily.
Yes, even the smallest step forward counts. And if you start today, imagine where you could be in a month or even a year.
Thank you so much for listening to the English Learning Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, share it with a friend, and leave us a review. It really helps us reach more people who want to grow.
And don't forget, you can listen to all our episodes in the English Learning Podcast playlist. We'll be back soon with another conversation to help you learn, grow, and improve every day.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep moving forward.
Take care, everyone.